Tackle is the most common move in all of Pokemon. However, it is also one of the weakest moves, as every Pokemon that gets Tackle learns it at level 1. So, can I get through Pokemon Sword only using Tackle? Let's find out. The rules are simple. I can't use a single Pokemon move other than Tackle. I'm only allowed to catch one new Pokemon after every gym, and I also have to spin a wheel of challenges at the end of every gym to make things harder. Let's begin. We start off our long and exciting journey by choosing one of the 3 starters, and unfortunately I can't pick Sobble this time around because the only Pokemon here to know Tackle is Scorbunny. I'm sorry Sobble, but welcome to the team Scorbunny. It was then time for the most intense battle in Pokemon history. Our first battle against our spine-chilling rival, Hop. He sends out a Wooloo. I tackle it, he then copies with Tackle as well. I eventually knock it out, and then comes as Grookey. He managed to get me down to 4 HP, then I knock him out too. We then head into a spooky forest, almost get killed by a wolf, then finally begin training on wild Pokemon. Like I said earlier, we can't catch any new Pokemon until the next gym is finished, so we're stuck with Scorbunny for a while. Hop then teaches me what a Pokemon Center is, because he thinks my IQ is below 7 like him. Oh, just you watch yourself, buddy. I then spend a good 20 minutes getting Scorbunny to level 12 from wild encounters and trainer battles, in preparation for the next Hop battle. He had 3 Pokemon this time around, but it was still an easy win. We then say our goodbyes to our parents forever and head into the wild area, then into Motorstoke and sign up to the gym challenge, and give ourselves
number 69.
Next was our introduction to Team Yell, who was super easy to take out. Then comes the opening ceremony for the gym challenge, and it turns out Hop already wants a 3rd battle, in which I absolutely lost? Wow, I think I'm the first person in the world to ever lose to this guy. I then decide to take on some raids, which are extremely good because they reward candies which level up your Pokemon super fast. I managed to get Scorbunny to level 16 and evolved him into Raboot, which allowed me to beat Hop much easier. We then enter the Galar Mines and meet our rival Bede, who's got the drip and the most head-bopping battle theme in the game. His Pokemon actually packed quite a punch, and I ended up dying to confusion. Some Pokemon just take so long to kill because of how weak Tackle is, but I managed to get a win the second time around. It was now time to take on our first of 8 gyms. Luckily it was Grass type, which isn't very effective against my Raboot. So we started our battle against Milo, and his Gossifleur was super easy, but then came his Eldegoss, which he instantly Dynamaxes. Now although I never said I couldn't Dynamax myself, I literally can't if I want to complete this challenge, because Dynamaxing a Pokemon changes all of your moves, meaning Tackle gets changed to Max Strike, which isn't Tackle. So basically, I can never Dynamax this entire game, and that makes things much harder. Luckily, Eldegoss's Dynamax moves were incredibly weak to my Raboot. It was actually more scary not Dynamax for some reason, and it took me out with Round. But next time I came prepared with potions and took an easy dub, earning us the first badge. It was now time to spin the challenge wheel for the first time, and it's something I'm going to be doing after every gym to spice up this challenge. Alright, here we go, our first spin for the video. What challenge are we going to get? Hopefully not something too bad. No healing allowed. Okay, that's not bad at all. Probably the easiest thing on there. So I'm no longer allowed to use any healing items during battle until I beat my next gym, which is going to be very scary seeing how the next gym is water type and I just died against a grass type gym. We then face our first major problem for the challenge during a battle against Team Yell. They had a Sableye, which is a ghost type, and well, it's literally impossible for a normal type move like Tackle to do anything to a ghost type because they're simply immune. I actually couldn't do anything, so I reset my game and it was time to find ourselves our second Pokemon. Now you might be thinking, well, getting a second Pokemon that also knows Tackle isn't going to solve the problem, right? Well, luckily, there's a miracle Pokemon that can bypass this problem. In Route 4, there is a 1% chance of getting a Ferroseed encounter. He knows the ability Iron Barbs, which is honestly going to save this run so many times. That's because any Pokemon that lands a physical attack on Ferroseed takes an 1/8 of their health damage. So I spent a good 35 minutes trying to find a Ferroseed, eventually found one, caught him, and added him to the party. We then did some raids to power him up to level 21, and although I couldn't directly attack, Sableye would start to hurt himself by hurting me. Luckily, Ferroseed had amazing defense because I wasn't allowed to heal either because of the wheel. We then fight Hop again, and after that, it's pretty much a straight path into the second gym. The water typing was scary at first, only having Raboot, but now we have Ferroseed. It was time to fight Nessa. And well, her Arrokuda pretty quickly took out my Raboot, and her Dynamax Dreadnought quickly took out my Ferroseed. I took to some raids for extra candy farming, lost to Nessa a second time, despite leveling up a bunch, and went back for more. I then got Raboot to level 36 and evolved him into Cinderace. This time around, things went much better and we beat Nessa, earning ourselves the Water Badge. Things were looking pretty good. That was until I spun the wheel again. Alright, it is time for our second spin. What have you got for me, wheel? No! I have been dreading this one. Must catch a shiny. Oh no. That's right. The next Pokemon I catch for the team has to be shiny. This was an extremely overwhelming challenge, but I had to start ASAP. ASAP or I could be here for days. Seeing as the next gym was fire type, I wanted to hunt a water type. So who was a water type, easy to hunt, and knows tackle? Well, the first few steps you take on the Isle of Armor DLC has an abundance of Galarian Slowpoke spawning, so I found my target. Its shiny is also really good as well, so let the hunt begin. So ages ago, I heard that KOing specific Pokemon made their shiny odds increase a significant amount, up until 500 KOs. So I leveled up Ferroseed to the point where he would evolve into Ferrothorn, so I could one-hit KO the Slowpoke and get as many KOs as possible. Then after around 250 KOs, I decided to fact-check that knowledge just in case, and it turns out, yeah, that's not entirely true. Technically it does increase the odds, but that's only in these rare versions of Pokemon that glow in the overworld and barely ever spawn. So it turns out I wasted so much time attacking instead of running, so we're stuck with the 1 in 4096 odds. I spent around 9 hours in one day constantly encountering and running from these dopey ass slobs, and just nothing. I felt like I was going insane. I just forgot how evil full odds shiny hunting is. Then, at the 1853rd encounter, at nearly 13 hours, I finally got what I wanted. Yes! We got it! We got the shiny Slowpoke! Yes! Let's go! It's about time! Alright, let's catch this golden beauty. And you're mine! Let's go! I finally got it. And despite how long and painful the hunt was, I got it pretty early considering the raids, which was super lucky. So now we could finally move forward. I did a bunch of raids to get candy to level him up, and I decided not to evolve him because his shiny is so cool and because I was too lazy to find the evolution items. I also made another rule for myself, which I haven't shared yet, and that's that I don't want my Pokemon to be any more than 20 levels higher than the next gym leader's best Pokemon, because then it would be too easy. And my Ferrothorn got to level 48 from all the Slowpoke I KO'd, which is 21 levels higher than Kaboo's Centiskorch, so he'll stay in the box until I beat the next gym. Next up came our second battle with Bede, and my god was it beautiful to see my new shiny in battle after the hours I spent hunting for him. We then had an easy battle against Marnie, and it was now time to take on the third gym leader, Kaboo. His Ninetales was no problem to take out, and neither was his Arcanine. My Cinderace then dies from his Gigantamax Centiskorch, and luckily my Slowpoke tanked his last G-Max attack so I could revive him and finish off the battle. And just like that, we added another gym badge to our collection. Also, our next wheel challenge was a pretty interesting one. And we're back with another spin. What have you got for me, wheel? It's gonna be open cards? No, it's gonna be Wonder Trade. Okay, this one I'm really excited about. This one's cool. Basically, we have to catch a random Pokemon, I got a wild Yamask, and put it up for Wonder Trade. And whatever Pokemon we get in return is who we can use. We just have to hope it's a Pokemon that can learn Tackle, or we don't get anything. So who do you think we'll get? Hopefully someone super useful. Oh, a hack to level 100 shiny Ditto, a Pokemon that literally has one move, which isn't Tackle. Great! It wasn't the end of the world though, because we've been sailing pretty smoothly. Before we're able to take on the fourth gym, we have to beat Hop's Pokemon to a pulp again, which was pretty easy considering we had Ferrothorn back on the team. I decided to go right into the fighting gym, as my Pokemon were pretty well leveled, and now it was time to take on my favorite Gen 8 gym leader, Bee. Her Hitmontop took out my Cinderace, her Pangoro took out my Slowpoke, and her Surf Edge took out Ferrothorn. I didn't even make it up to her Machamp. I then use a bunch of candy to level up the team while still being no more than 20 levels higher than her strongest Pokemon. This time I was able to make it up to a Gigantamax Machamp, but still ended up losing the battle another 2 times. So back to raid farming I went. This was actually a pretty difficult battle, but I managed to take out the Machamp on the 4th attempt, meaning we were now halfway through the gym challenge. It is time for another spin. What's it gonna be? It's looking like it's gonna be Wild Area Catch. Okay, so catch anything in the Wild Area. Not bad at all. This was actually pretty useful. Alright, so the next gym is Fairy type, so I was looking for any Pokemon that resisted it. However, I planned further ahead and found a Pokemon that not only resisted Fairy, but also resisted Dark type for the 7th gym, and is totally immune to Dragon type for the final gym, and that Pokemon will be Galarian Wheezing. Now, Galarian Wheezing spawns in the deep slumbering world, which is inaccessible at the moment, but luckily Coughing spawns in a certain part of the wild area under certain weather conditions. So I found myself one and leveled it up to the point where it could evolve. We then journeyed through a magical forest and headed straight into the next gym battle against none other than the Queen of England herself. My Cinderace managed to take out her Weezing, Togetic, and Mawile with no struggle at all, because it turns out he also resists Fairy. But then came her Gigantamax Alcremie, who also couldn't take out my Cinderace. Yep, we just swept that entire gym with a single Pokemon, and now we have the Fairy badge. You know what time it is. Another gym leader down, another wheel to spin. We've only got 4 more options, and it's looking like delete a Pokemon. Oh, okay, so we're gonna spin a wheel to see who to delete. Okay, please don't be Ferrothorn or Cinderace. I really need them. They're my best ones so far, and it's gonna be Weezing. He literally didn't do anything. Well, it turns out our Weezing literally did not contribute a single thing to this challenge whatsoever. Off to the void you go, my friend. I also decided to make it so when I land on delete a Pokemon, I'm not allowed to catch a new Pokemon either. So no new friends for my party of 3 for now. As usual, Hop wants another battle, which was actually kind of a pain this time around. He had a Trevenant, which is a ghost type, so I had to use the Iron Barb strategy again, which is super boring and wastes so much time. And then right before he dies, Hop fully heals him, and it's just,
I want to punch this dude in the face sometimes.
Our 6th gym battle against the rock type leader Gordy wasn't too bad either. His first 3 Pokemon were super easy. However, it did get pretty close with his Gigantamax Colossal, because he managed to take out my Ferrothorn with a fire attack, and then took out Slowpoke in 2 more turns. For a good 5 minutes, I was actually stuck in this painful loop of having to revive a Pokemon, getting killed, revive another Pokemon, and attacking it any lucky chance I get. It didn't help that Tackle was doing horribly low amounts of damage either, but then with my Ferrothorn at only 15 HP left, and no other Pokemon alive, I was lucky enough to hit the finishing blow. That was another gym down and not so many more to go. Only 2 badges remain. The next challenge we got was also pretty fun as well. Okay, 3 more options left. What's it gonna be? It's looking like it's gonna be open cards. Okay, this one I'm actually really excited about. Alright, whoever we get out of this pack is who we're allowed to catch. We just gotta hope someone knows Tackle. Water Energy, that doesn't count. Drizzle, I can't get that. Cherim, is that even in Sword and Shield? Rolt, I hope knows Tackle. That doesn't help. That's an Energy. That's a Gym. Hooper, can't get that. Ooh, wow, okay, that's just a really cool card. Gloria Full Art, the trainer. Doesn't really help though for the challenge. Oh my god! And a Corviknight alternate art. And Voltorb. I hope one of those knows Tackle, but that was a really good pack. Holy shit. That is such a cool card. Out of all of those cards, there were only 2 Pokemon that know Tackle. Voltorb and Cherubi. Voltorb isn't even in Sword and Shield, but luckily Cherubi is. So we caught one, and after more raiding, we got it all the way up to level 41 and evolved it into a Cherim. Before facing the 7th gym, we concuss Hop's Pokemon again, fight some Team Yell Grunts, and take on Marnie again, who we easily managed to sweep through. And to be honest, there wasn't much to say regarding the next gym either. For some reason, Pierce doesn't Dynamax any of his Pokemon, so that made things super easy, meaning we now only had 1 more badge to go. It may seem like smooth sailing ahead, but believe me, things get pretty difficult soon. In fact, on my way to the final gym, I encountered this evil trainer who was more of an issue than many of the gym leaders have been. First, he started with a Doublade, which is a ghost type, so we had to do the annoying Iron Barb method. But then after that, he sends out Poltegeist, another ghost type. However, this time, he only has 1 physical move, that being Sucker Punch, which could only be used 5 times. After those 5 Sucker Punches, the rest of his moves were special, which means Iron Barbs don't work. It was actually impossible to touch this thing in any way, shape, or form, and the damage done from earlier got healed up from the other moves. There was literally only one solution to beating this, and that was to wait until Poltegeist used up every single move until it couldn't use anything, forcing it to use Struggle and hurt itself. My god, this makes me happy I didn't pick Pokemon Shield, because that game replaces B with Alistair, who is a ghost-type gym leader, and my god, I assume it would have been roughly the same situation with him. Anyway, let's check on the wheel. Okay, we've got our final 2 challenges. Look, I made it look like a Pokeball. I'm very cool, aren't I? And what's it gonna be? It's going to be catch a certain type. Alright, what type are we gonna have to catch? Let's find out. I don't really know what I want. It's looking like it's gonna be Fairy type. Okay, despite losing our Weezing earlier, we're now lucky enough to catch another Fairy type Pokemon, which will help a lot for the final gym. I decided to go back to Route 4 where we found our Ferroseed and hunt for a Milcery, which didn't take too long. We then went to this location to find a Strawberry and spun around to evolve it into Alcremie, which I think is one of the coolest ways to evolve a Pokemon. Although we had 5 Pokemon on the team, I was still worried about this gym, being against Dragon types and being a double battle. Even the small trainers you have to fight first were pretty difficult. This Turtonator's Shell Trap is so powerful that it one-shot Ferrothorn and almost Slowpoke. Then he did it again, taking out Alcremie and Cherim, giving me a loss. This wasn't even the gym leader. The second time around was a little more successful, thankfully. And now, it was time for our final gym battle battle against the Dragon-type gym leader, Rayanne. The first problem of this battle comes from his Gigalith. His defense is so high that Tackle almost does no damage to him. Not only that, but being a double battle makes things so much harder, because you're not only dealing with 2 Pokemon at once, but you also have to manage your own 2 Pokemon at once. Then you also have the Sandstorm dealing extra damage to you after every turn, and then his Sandaconda will paralyze your Pokemon, and it's just pretty hectic. We were, however, able to get up to his Gigantamax Duraludon, and once we took out his Sandaconda, with me still having 2 Pokemon on the field, it was basically a guaranteed win. Being a 2-on-1 means that I could heal or revive with one of my turns, and attack with the other. And just like that, we had beaten the final gym and got all 8 gym badges, and were ready to take on the champion tournament. With the wheel only having one more option left, we weren't allowed to catch any new Pokemon after the gym. And seeing as that was the last gym, we now have our final team set in stone. But the journey was far from complete. It was now time to make our way to Windon and then to Windon Stadium to partake in the semi-finals. Our first of many battles was up against Marnie, and her Liepard was actually pretty annoying. It knew Torment, which is a move like Disable where it prevents you using the last move you did, but luckily switching to a different Pokemon solves that issue. We then take out her Grimmsnarl and move on to the second battle against Hop, where we kill all his Pokemon one last time and put his dreams of becoming champion in a coffin. Now comes the weird arc of the game, where us kids literally mug these security guards to break into a multi-million-dollar company building, and then kill some more security guards, only to go on and fight probably the most difficult and annoying trainer this entire challenge, Orlina. My god, I hated this battle. For starters, your Pokemon are constantly burnt the entire time for some reason. Then she pulls out a Frostlass. Great, another ghost type where Tackle does nothing. Not only that, but none of her moves were physical, so Ferrothorn couldn't use Iron Barbs, meaning again, I had to wait for every single one of Frostlass's moves to run out until it used Struggle to kill itself. So there went a solid 10 minutes of just constantly healing and using items with no effect, but it doesn't end there. Next came her Milotic. You think fighting Cynthia's Milotic was annoying? Oh boy. Basically, because Tackle is such a weak move and does so little damage, Milotic can heal almost all damage right after I deal it. This is because she uses a move called Aqua Ring, which basically heals itself after every turn. Tackle is so pathetic that by the time she heals, it's almost as if I never used Tackle at all. Now technically she loses a tiny bit of damage each turn, but whenever her health was literally 1 inch away from 100%, she'd use Recover, which heals 50% of her max health. So I just couldn't kill her. So just like the Frostlass, my only option was to legit wait until she could only use Struggle. It took another 15 minutes of doing absolutely nothing, which might not sound too bad, but when you factor in having to do the same with Frostlass, and the fact she has a strong Gigantamax Scarbador to deal with as well, it ended up almost being a 40-minute battle for a very forgettable trainer. It was now time to enter the finals of the gym challenge and face a gauntlet of gym leaders. First up was our final battle against Bede. Nothing too crazy really happened, besides it taking ages for me to take out his Hatterene. Then came our rematches against Nessa, then Bee, and then Rayanne again, who I managed to beat all on my first attempts luckily. It's almost over. We're nearly champion. But oh no, bra moment incoming. I can't face champion Leon yet because good guy actually equals bad guy. Whoa, Pokemon story go crazy. So we go back to the forest to call help to the legendary dogs and retrieve their sword and shield. Then we break into the power plant and have our battle against Rose, and where our Ferrothorn found his long lost cousin, 15 years apart, reunited at last. Then we kill him. It was now time to face off against the third legendary of the game, Eternatus. By the looks of his design, you'd assume he's probably invaded hundreds of planets and killed millions of innocent people. But guess what? I managed to take him out with a literal pile of cream. Get wrecked.
Psych!
He then shoots off into the sky, turns himself into a giant alien UFO, and here come the 2 epic legendary dogs to help take it down, which I greatly appreciate because I can't really say I feel like taking down this gigantic beast only using Tackle. Thank you Zacian and Zamazenta for literally doing all the damage for me. We're then actually forced to catch Eternatus, but unfortunately he can't help me against Leon because he doesn't know Tackle. Now that we've saved the world, we put Eternatus in the box with our lonely Ditto, do some more final raid farming to level everyone up one last time, and begin our final battle against the Gala champion, Leon. This was it, what our whole journey had been leading to. The first thing he sends out was his Aegislash, a ghost type. Luckily for us, it was actually no problem taking out because it kept using Sacred Sword against Ferrothorn, which is a physical move, and ended up Iron Barbing itself to death. Then he sends out my favorite pseudo-legendary, Dragapult, another ghost type. However, like Orlina's Frostlass, all of his moves were special, and Ferrothorn couldn't barb him. It was time for another stalling until he struggles himself to death death method. And luckily I stacked myself with full restores because his moves packed a punch. It actually ended up taking 17 minutes of waiting for him to use all his moves and constantly heal myself, so I was glad when it finally went down to struggle. Next up was Haxorus, and didn't take long to kill because I can actually start using Tackle again. Then we easily knocked out his Inteleon and his Mr. Rhyme, and here we were, up against the final Pokemon for the challenge, Leon's Charizard. He Gigantamaxes it straight away, but little does he know, my Tackle team doesn't fear anything anymore. We've taken out dozens of Dynamaxed and Gigantamaxed Pokemon. We've destroyed a massive UFO alien legendary. We've killed multiple Ghost-type Pokemon without even laying a single finger on them. His Charizard actually manages to take out Cherrim and Cinderace, and then uses Fire Blast to finish off my Alcremie. However, we kept the team healthy with potions and revives, and after a few minutes, with our shiny Slowpoke at only 33 HP, we give him the honors of landing the finishing blow, defeating the champion Leon and putting a close to this amazing challenge. We actually did it. We beat all of Pokemon Sword by only using a single move, and successfully became the new champion of the Galar region. This was a 33-hour playthrough and was super fun. Thank you so much for watching.